What? The food? What? I mean, this is an area of history that's just like so deep.
And over the baguette.
Themes of empire, mission, inheritance, and destiny. Hello.
You sure you're ready?
Not at all.
Hello.
Hello.
You sounded like a fucking prospector.
What the fuck was that came out of my mouth?
It's a podcast. Welcome along.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's get it together. We've got a lot to get through. All right. Hello and welcome to What the Food. This is a food podcast that aims to uncover the fascinating origin stories behind dishes from all around the world, both popular and obscure. My name's Miles, and as always, I'm here with Andy, and it's our mission to sort of delve into history and uncover the fascinating truths behind all sorts of different food items and dishes.
Certainly is.
Yeah, and today we're taking an interesting look at French toast.
French toast.
A français, a toast.
Toast, so French.
I feel like there's so much more of this to come.
I think you might be right. Oh.
Got a bit of a something there.
So yeah, French toast. French toast.
Lay it on me, Andy.
Wow, I'll fucking lay it on you, son. Before we get into it, I want to know what first comes to your mind when I say the words French toast. What's the first thing, the very first thing that you think of when I say French toast?
Americans. Fat Americans.
Okay.
I feel like, I don't know, French toast feels like something Americans eat on the reg. I might be wrong, but in films and TV and stuff, they're always like, you want French toast for breakfast? Yeah, I want French toast.
Hefty. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. So for me, the first thing is big Dwayne Johnson tucking into a massive cheat meal.
Yes, on his Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. He always seems to be.
It's the sushi that gets me. It's the sushi. Yeah. It's when he has his sushi days. Oh my god, he has like the biggest platter of sushi,
isn't it?
Oh,
God. Him eating that giant portion is like celebrated because he's done so much heft of workouts during the week. But if we were to post something like that on our Instagrams, it would be as though we've hit like rock bottom.
Yeah, yeah. Or no, I think what would actually happen is
you missed it there, mate.
Oh, rock bottom. Fucking hell, lad. Not again.
Oh, yeah.
These were throughout last episode.
Get ready for more of these.
I was listening to it back and it was like 6 or 7. Right, okay. That's what we're doing then, is it?
That's what we're doing, yeah. There might be a couple more teasers. We'll see.
So is he eating French toast, is he? Is that what? Because I've never seen the French toast ones.
Yeah.
Does he have that?
So basically, what it looks like, he's just taken a whole loaf of bread, cut it in half, and just toasted it. Just put loads of stuff on it. So French toast, eggy bread, Bombay toast, German toast, gypsy toast, or poor Knights of Windsor is a dish made of sliced bread soaked in beaten egg and typically milk.
Right, wait a minute.
Wow. No, keep it going.
What the fuck are these names?
Of those.
All right, continue.
So it's sliced bread soaked in beaten egg and typically milk. Now, some people actually flavour the milk too with cinnamon, vanilla, or sugar to give it to give the bread a deeper flavour.
I never thought of doing that.
Which is nice. Yeah. Once soaked, the bread is then pan fried until crispy and caramelised. And you'll often find French toast topped with fruit, powdered sugar, syrup, or butter, that sort of stuff. However, it can be served as savoury dish too, with shit like ketchup or mayonnaise being used to sauce it up.
We've always called it eggy bread.
We've always called it eggy bread. We have. You're absolutely right. I mean, what do you think of French toast? You like it?
It's just like, it's so typical, isn't it, of English people to take something that sounds so like posh and luxurious, like, oh, French toast. and it's like this really nice thing, which is like eggy bread. it's like such an English, straight to the point way of saying it, isn't it?
Well, I think you might be wrong, as you'll see later on.
Oh shit!
I think you're casting blame when there is none.
Well, all right.
But anyway, we'll get onto it. You'll see. So, what do you think of French toast? Have you ever eaten it?
Yeah, my dad used to
eggy
make eggy bread. Yeah. Did we eat it with anything else, or was it just on its own? I think it was just on its own. It's quite a stodgy dish, really, isn't it? Yeah, I think we used to just have like 1 or 2 bits of that, and then some ketchup, maybe. So I think I've only ever really had it in the savoury. But yeah, exactly. I don't think I've ever had it with fruit or anything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So before doing the research for this episode, I actually had no idea how global French toast is.
Right.
You know, there looks to be like a plethora of international versions of this dish with all their very own unique names and the ways of making them or whatever.
Well, I guess bread is everyone's got their own way of making bread and has done for a long time, and every country's had eggs, haven't they?
Exactly, mate. Yeah. Anyway, so there's an international versions of this dish all over the world, and now because I'm a nice friend, I'm going to get Miles here to struggle through reading a selection of the various French toasts around the world. So, Miles, if you please.
In Algeria, it's called pain doré. Denmark, they call it armé ridere. In France, they call it pan perdu. In Greece, they call it avgofetes. In Poland, they call it chleb wilajaku.
That was going to be my favourite one.
And in the Netherlands, they call it... Oh, God. Wait a minute. Wentel Tejefs or Gewonnen Brood. Wow. I feel like I've got a friend called Mark who is from the Netherlands, and whenever I've heard him speaking Dutch, it just feels like they are adding unnecessary words or letters, and it's just like, I feel like saying I would like a cup of tea would be like a 5-minute conversation in Dutch. Do you know what I mean?
It's
like
unnecessarily complicated.
Yeah, like obviously here you've got like in France pan perdu, and then Netherlands you've got Wentelegerves or Gewonnen Brood. In terms of syllables, it's like 10 times.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I spent some time basically trying to understand why French toast is popular worldwide. And I think the answer is pretty simple, and it kind of builds upon what you said just a second ago. You know, what are the 3 main things that are almost always included in everyone's grocery shopping? You know, what 3 things do people most rely on as sustenance, around the world? It's bread, milk, and eggs. What is French toast? Those 3 fuckers mixed together, basically.
Yeah. What did my dad say when he went out the house once and never came home? Hey guys, I'm off to get some milk, eggs, bread.
Yep. Yep.
I'm joking. That never happened. But I bet it's happened before.
Yeah.
So not only, is it the ingredients to the worldwide
excuse
use
of abandoning your family.
Yeah, it's also that.
It's also French toast. That's just my own theory, but I think it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, definitely does.
Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the history of French toast. Now
you just said French.
French, I know.
Like, it's become French.
Oh God.
Frenched.
French toast.
Oh
God.
God, we've got the giggles.
Now you may be thinking this episode is going to be shit, as French toast is obviously French. The clue is in the name. Well, that is both rude and wrong. The earliest known reference to French toast actually dates all the way back to ancient Rome. Ancient Rome, that is right. So our guy Caesar, in between mouthfuls of his salad, might have been chomping on some French toast.
Well, guy.
So the reference is in a collection of Latin recipes known as the Apicius. The Apicius dates back to around the 1st century AD, and its name is taken from the habits of one Marcus Gavius Apicius. Sick name. Romans just have cool names, just all year,
don't they?
All year round, cool names being dropped out.
It's just like every single person sounds like they are fit to be a leader.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
A leader of an empire.
Exactly. Now, Marcus Gavius Apicius was a Roman gourmet who lived sometime in the 1st century AD during the reign of Emperor Tiberius, who was he was the second emperor that took over from Augustus. So he's the second Roman emperor. So he's pretty early days still. But
what is a gourmet?
Someone that enjoyed their food, basically.
Really? Because okay, I thought it was like a profession.
I think it is. I think he's a trained chef that just travels around. He's obviously got a lot of money, so he can just travel around trying different things and eating things and writing about food.
Because I was speaking to a friend of mine a few years ago, and this has just reminded me of a conversation we had, because we were talking about the Romans and just how much they enjoyed food. I think like they're obviously like a civilization that had abundance. I don't know if it's true to say that they were one of the first that had this level of abundance.
Yeah, definitely. But, the empire.
Yeah, so they've got this massive empire that they've built. They've got all this money, and then with that comes, all the luxuries of that, and food was one of the biggest things. And I remember speaking to my mate, and he'd read in a book that the Romans enjoyed eating so much that they paid people to. So when they've gorged themselves so much at a banquet and they're full to the brim, can't eat any more food, it was someone's job to help that person throw up so that they could then return to eating food. They could eat more.
Believe it. I wonder how much you get paid at that point.
Yeah, yeah. But that's just goes to show how much they ate and how much they cared about food.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it's impossible to attribute the Apicus cookbook directly to Apicus himself, but this guy truly looked to have lived a life of luxury. He would basically travel around eating tasty sheet. Tasty sheet.
Tasty. You want to eat some tasty sheet?
Oh god. So yeah, he would basically travel around eating tasty shit and meeting cool people. He advised that the tongue of a flamingo had superb flavour. He wouldn't eat cabbage, as that was a food of the common people, and he would always drown his red mullet fish in fish sauce before cooking.
I mean, I kind of lost a little bit of respect for this guy when he said that he thought that cabbage wasn't a good food item.
I agree with you. Big fan of cabbage, I am.
I'm a big fan of cabbage, and there's lots you can do with cabbage, and I think the flavour of cabbage is very delightful. So, but what a job though, just going around and just eating food.
Isn't it? Especially in them days where like a lot of the population was just peasants and weren't leaving their own country, and this guy was fucking going around eating flamingo tongues.
Oh, God.
One source said he was
born to enjoy every extravagant luxury that could be contrived. Born to enjoy it.
Born to enjoy it. That's how much he relished the luxury that was around him and took part in it.
Yeah, my guy.
So another little story that we have about Apicus is,
having heard of the boasted size and sweetness of the shrimps taken near the Libyan coast, Apicus commandeered a boat and crew, but when he arrived, disappointed by the shrimps he was offered by the local fishermen who came alongside in their boats, and comparing them to the excellent crawfish he was accustomed to eat at his villa, he turned round and returned to Minturne without going ashore.
So this guy sailed all the way from his villa to a place near the Libyan coast because of he heard that they were boasting about the good shrimps. He got there, saw they were shit shrimps, and just left without even going ashore.
What a G. I mean, like you said before, in times where there's like peasants and there's famine, and he's just probably embarking on an expensive journey. Like he's obviously had to hire a boat and crew, and he's sailed there, and he just looked at their shrimps and been like, nah, turned around, come home.
Yeah, exactly. Big dog. Anyway, his book had recipes typical of the dietary habits of the ancient world, around the Mediterranean. Most of his recipes are actually geared towards the wealthier people. So what,
using recipes that at the time would have been too expensive for common people to obtain, sort of thing?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he did have some everyday recipes in there, but it was geared towards the wealthier of the individuals at the time.
Right.
So here's an example of a recipe within the book for a lamb stew.
Put the pieces of meat into the pan. Finely chop an onion and coriander, pound pepper, lovage, cumin, garum, oil and wine. Turn out into the shallow pan, thicken with wheat starch. If you take lamb, you should add the contents of the mortar while the meat is still raw. If kid, add it to while it is cooking.
Pretty standard recipe. I mean, it's pretty vague, but I don't know what if kid means.
Yeah, if kid. So wait, so he's saying add the contents of the mortar, so that's all the ground stuff he's ground up, while the meat is still raw. If kid, add it while it is cooking. If kid, so something about the meat.
Yeah, so he's making a marinade, isn't he? In the first one, he's making like a rub. But then if kid, I don't know what if kid is.
Is that if the meat, like something to do with if you've something's stopping him being able to put that marinade on there before it's cooking.
Yeah. So French toast, where are we? French toast is first mentioned in the Apicus and is simply described as Aletier dulcia, and this roughly translates to another sweet dish. So the recipe for the Aletier dulcia says,
break fine white bread, crust removed, into rather large pieces, which soak in milk and beat in eggs, fry in oil, cover with honey and serve.
Basically the same we do today, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, not much different.
So I mean, like little, if anything, really looks to have changed of the basic method for making French toast in nearly 2,000 years. Yeah. Does that mean it's the perfect food? Kind of like how crocodiles and alligators haven't evolved as they're the perfect killer machines.
Yes, yeah. There's been no need to really alter the recipe because it's just good as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's passed the test of time.
Well, let's see. Let's see if it does evolve at any point in history and if there's a change between now and then. The next time that we see French toast pop back up in history is during the medieval era. You know, the simple concoction of bread, eggs, and milk kind of makes a batter that was then used to make stale loaves more palatable.
Right, right.
It was a way of taking basically leftover bread and making it editable. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, because you're covering it in stuff and you're frying it again.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can kind of mask any dryness that it had. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, it's disputed as to whether the individual areas of Europe sort of stumbled upon the discovery, by themselves, because like we said earlier, everyone's got those sort of three things knocking around, or everyone knows about those three things. We know that there was a dish that was highly popular in the medieval era, particularly in England, called soupe d'orte. However, it's unclear whether it was brought over from what's now France by the Normans, or if it was just developed in the same time. With the locals in the area.
What was it called?
Soupe d'orte.
Soupe d'orte.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what kind of language that sounds like. Obviously, because the language we speak today in this country is such a culmination of different influences, isn't it? And some words lend themselves more to like the Germanic side of things than others are more Roman influence, aren't they? And a lot of words we speak have got Latin influences, haven't they? But I don't know what that is though. What that sound? It doesn't really sound like anything.
I mean, it could be. Like, obviously, the Normans came over around this time, or before, obviously, so that could have affected the language. The first written mention of French toast comes from the court of Henry V of England. It was called pain perdu, or lost bread.
Pain perdu. See, that sounds kind of French. Pain perdu.
Pain perdu.
Henry, you want the pain perdu?
I want the pain perdu.
Okay, see you later.
Where's my pain perdu?
Coming. Pain perdu time.
Anyway, pain perdu translates to lost bread. Now, lost bread, what's that? So lost bread is perhaps a reference to the fact that the battering rescues the bread that would have been discarded as too old.
Right, okay. Right.
Now,
lost bread.
It's pretty murky because around the same time, separate texts from around Europe also included their own versions of French toast. So in Spain, there was something called Torriga, and in Germany, it was called Amrita.
Right.
So, you can't really attribute its continued creation, even more so with this one, because obviously it's three ingredients that a lot of places in Europe have in abundance. So there's people going to be coming up with it at the same time. Before we go any further, I found something strange about that German translation. Amrita. So Amrita in English translates to poor knight, as in K-N, like a soldier, like a knight.
And poor, does it mean poor as in financially poor, or poor as in like feel sorry for?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, financially poor. So I saw this and was like, I was rock hard because I thought there was going to be some mad little story behind this that I could just go into and be like,
what's the tale of the poor knight?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was an interesting story, but what I came across is pretty odd and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I thought I'd share it anyway. I thought it was kind of cool. So the dish is thought to have gained its name from the order of knights established by Edward III.
Edward number 3.
Yeah, so the dish is thought to be named after an order created by him. So order of knights. So quick quote to summarise Edward III, just in case anybody wasn't familiar with him.
He was the flower of earthly warriors, Under whom to fight was to rule, to go forth was to prosper, to contend was to triumph. Against his foes he was grim as a leopard toward his subjects, mild as a lamb.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Loved it. But anyway, yeah, pretty decent ruler.
Yeah, I mean, they're speaking very fondly of him there, really, aren't they? He was the flower of earthly warriors. It sounds like they had a lot of nice things to say about him.
Yeah, they did. So the Poor Knights. So the Poor Knights are men who have fallen on hard times, basically. They're a group of men that have fallen on hard times after the Battle of Crécy in 1346, where the English lost just 300 men and the French are thought to have lost 4,000 men.
Whoa.
Yeah, mate.
Where was this battle taking place? Was it on French soil or?
Yeah, it was on French soil. It was in France. It was on a campaign that the English were expanding into France.
And this is the 1300s, is it?
Yeah, 1346, the Battle of Crécy. Now, a fun little fact about the Battle of Crécy: it was the first and biggest battle in which English longbowmen fought against knights and absolutely just dominated. So this is
this where the longbows were first used?
Yeah,
really?
Exactly. Yeah, this is where the English longbow established itself as a powerhouse, basically.
Wow.
This was the battle.
Because I remember doing like a lesson in history about this, and it was like one of the few lessons I actually paid attention in. But it was like, they were talking about the fact that we used kind of the same type of bow for a long period of time, didn't we? And almost like every country in the world was using a similar style bow, and then we developed this long one, didn't we, that could shoot much greater distances and then also way more powerfully as well, wasn't it? It could pierce thicker armour. And
yeah, exactly.
I think it just made us a lot better in battle, didn't it, for quite some time?
100%, yeah. I mean, it was like the thing that won this battle. Anyway, although the battle was a resounding victory for the English, a couple of knights were still captured by the French, and in order to be set free, they had to sell off their home, estates, and basically ransom themselves out of capture, thus leaving them poor. Yeah, these knights have been captured. They've had to sell their estates, ransom themselves out of French captivity, and now they're poor. So the story goes that Edward felt bad for these knights, and set up the Poor Knights of Windsor.
Oh, nice Edward.
Yeah, exactly. So the knights were given residence in Windsor Castle, and they worked off their housing by performing duties around the castle.
Suck my dick.
That's it.
Edward's not so nice anymore.
Fucking 180 there.
Come live with me and do some chores and pay off your debts, no problem.
No, I don't think they were doing that. They were doing other stuff.
No.
Other more godly stuff. But obviously, as they were poor...
Clean my crucifix.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. On-site crucifix cleaners. That's what they were.
I have 4 dedicated crucifix cleaners in Windsor Castle operating at the moment.
1 buffer, 1 polisher, 1 washer, 1 positioner.
They're all 4 of them are working the same crucifix at the moment.
Anyway, they're poor, right? They're poor, living, I was going to say rent-free, but I suppose they are working for it by cleaning crucifixes. You know, they can only afford very, very basic things to eat. So what do they buy? They buy bread, they buy eggs, and they buy milk. Naturally, they start experimenting, as eating the same shit every night would have been probably worse than staying a captive of the French. So eventually, they are said to have concocted French toast.
Oh, here we go.
Here is the Poor Knight's recipe for French toast.
Cut 2 penny loaves in round slices and dip them in half a pint of cream or fair water. Then lay them abroad in a dish and beat 3 eggs and grated nutmegs and sugar and beat them with the cream. Then melt some butter in a frying pan and wet the sides of the toast and lay them in on the wet side. Then pour in the rest upon them and so fry them. Serve them in rose water, sugar and butter. Rose water. Sounds quite like luxurious, doesn't it?
Exactly. The fact that it mentions rose water and nutmeg and sugar, like, I don't know, this story's nice, but I think it's got too many holes in it. Like, if they were so poor, surely there's cheaper stuff to eat than bread, eggs and milk. Like,
yeah, and also if they're living in Windsor Castle under, the roof of Edward III, then there's going to be kitchen staff on hand that have all of the food to be able to cook them.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I'm not really buying this story. It's an interesting story, but I don't know. I don't really buy it, to be honest. Funnily enough, the poor Knights of Windsor still exist today.
No way.
They're still around, but they're no longer necessarily poor. And they're not called that anymore. They're not called the Poor Knights of Windsor. They're known as military knights, and mostly consists of sort of pensioners, military pensioners. But they still live. They still live in Windsor Castle, and they still perform duties. Still cleaning crucifixes.
Still cleaning those crucifixes. So they're still around. They're still in Windsor Castle doing bits and bobs.
Yeah, they're still around. Yeah. Now we've spoken about the English side of things. You know, surely, given its name, the French have something to do with it, right? So the French come into the equation thanks to one of the most important figures in medieval French cuisine. This is going to be difficult to pronounce, so bear with me. Guillaume Tirel.
Oh.
So it's Guillaume. Guillaume, maybe? Guillaume Tirel. Anyway, Mr. Tirel, helpfully, was known as Taillevent. Taillevent. Taillevent?
This is what, his nickname?
Yeah, that's what he was known as.
Right, okay.
Taillevent was a cook in the kitchens of the French court during the 100 Years' War that we've just spoken about. So he's in the French court kitchens. You know, he started off as a humble kitchen boy and ascended the ranks until he was a head chef under Philip VI.
Oh, hello. Can I come into the kitchen?
No, Guillermo.
Please. Oh.
So this dude is considered like one of the first truly professional master chefs, and he died at the ripe old age of 80.
Died at the hands of rape.
At 80.
He died at the old rape.
He died at the old 80 rape.
Oh, God, right. Fucking hell. So he died at 80.
Yeah, so he lived a long time. So this dude, he's considered like one of the truly professional master chefs, and he was the author of a cookbook named Le Viandier, which was arguably one of the most influential French cookery books from the Middle Ages.
Right, so he's sort of a grandfather of French cuisine then, really, this guy.
Exactly. So this cookbook is so influential that it's argued that this book was the foundation of French gastronomic tradition.
Whoa.
I mean, it's safe to say he's a big deal, and you know he had a lasting effect on world cuisine. I think it'd be really cool to do like a separate series where we look at these influential food people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because they're going to have such crazy stories behind them.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Like looking at their lives, looking at the times they were living in, and looking at like their top recipes. I think cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Let us know if you want to hear that in the future.
Definitely. That's an avenue we can go down 100%. Yeah, because I mean, we've already, like in the last few episodes we've touched on, you know, a few people that would make really good individual episodes, because we just didn't have enough time to fully get into them, you know, in these ones. So,
but anyway, back to where we're at. So, surely a chef so influential and serving the crown court isn't spending his time serving up fucking stale bread soaked in eggs, right?
Surely not.
Wrong.
What?
Within his cookbook, the La Vianda, there is a recipe for tosties dores. I hope I'm saying that right.
Tosties dores.
Or it roughly translates to golden toasts.
Right, golden toast.
So here is the recipe, roughly translated to English.
So, for toasted golden bread, you take hard white bread and cut it into square toasts and roast them together on the gravel, and have moeilich durfs bateaux and wrap them very well in ijselijk meulnier, and to have good healthy shalt and to brown them in it on the fire as long as they are nice and well browned, and then to put them inside the paelle and put on the plats. And success on.
Not a great translation at all.
No.
I could not find a translation for it.
That is a AI Google translation.
Yeah, 100%. But you get the idea.
Yeah.
You know, what's interesting about this guy's recipe is that he doesn't use milk. He just uses eggs and butter.
I was going to say, when we do eggy bread, or when we used to do eggy bread, we never put milk with it. It was literally just eggs in the bowl, bit of salt and pepper, bread, dippy, fry it.
I think the milk is more used on the sweet versions of the dish.
Right, because you were saying before you use the milk to help infuse extra flavour, so like cinnamon and stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so I mean, his recipe here, it's not so different. It's just lacking the milk.
Yeah.
But again, he doesn't call it French toast. He calls it tosties dores.
Yeah,
So
Tostadores.
where the fuck is that name coming from?
Yeah.
We've traversed the murky waters of Altia, Dulcia, Lost Bread, Tostadores, the poor nights of Windsor. You'd be glad to know we've entered the age of the French toast.
Wow.
We've arrived. It was in the 17th century that the term French toast first appeared in England. So the 17th century. To be precise, it was year 1660,
Whoa.
which, in the grand scheme of things, it was a pretty fucking significant year, mate.
Yeah.
So significant, in fact, that historian Ian Mortimer said it was only eclipsed by the events of 1066 in terms of the sheer impact on ordinary English folks' lives.
Fucking hell. What went down?
So Battle of Hastings, 1066.
Yeah.
Like this is a big year. So what's happening?
What is happening?
Well, mate, it's basically the Empire Strikes Back. 1660 was the year in which the monarchy, more specifically Charles II, was restored to power.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before 1660, there was no such thing as the King of England. You know, England was ruled thanks to Oliver Cromwell by a protector of the Commonwealth rather than a monarch.
Oh, was
But
it?
thanks to Ollie's death in 1658 and his son's lack of sway with the military, a power vacuum had opened. Who would fill this vacuum?
Who's going to fill it?
Who's gonna fill it? Well, buckle up and welcome to England, episode 5. The Crown Strikes Back.
Oh my God.
The return to England of the Prince Charles Stuart in May 1660 and his ascension meant that the re-establishment of the monarchy and a different form of government.
Ooh, big changes. Big changes.
Big changes, radical changes that would have had a profound effect on the people's lives up and down the country. Now, we could probably spend about 3 days fucking going through all this and the details and stuff, but all you need to know is times are a-changing, baby.
Times are a-changing. Because I think, like, with English history in general, there is just so much to it. And I think...
Yeah, man,
I don't think...
especially medieval.
Yeah, like, it's just... I mean, there's obviously rich history in so many other parts of the world, but I think what might make English history stand out from the crowd is just how well documented it is. It doesn't necessarily mean there was more happening here. It's just that there was so much information and there's so much lasting information on it that we can tell these stories in great depth. And I think I had this problem when I was doing Cottage Pie, because I just could have gone so much more into the history of England and what was happening around that time, but we just don't have the time for it, do we?
No, we don't have the time.
I think the other thing as well is that we're going to be covering so many dishes as well that we're probably going to head back to these points in history through researching and delving into other dishes. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll be back.
We'll cover it. We'll take it off. Yeah. So the first appearance of French toast, a dish actually called French toast, was in a book called The Accomplished with a T, not a D,
Whoa.
not an ED, Cook.
Accomplished.
It was, accomplished.
It sounds like 21 Savage or something. Accomplished.
So the Accomplished Cook
Whoa.
by 21 Savage.
Great name.
No, this book was published by a professional cook by the name of Robert May. What we know about
Robbo.
Robert May, Robbo, Big Rob.
Big Rob Stain.
So an auctioneer by the name of Charles Hanson is reported as saying,
May would have been very much the Gordon Ramsay of his day, something of a celebrity chef.
can you imagine what this sort of character's like? Big Robbo.
Big Robbo. Hey everyone.
Robbo and his accomplished.
Accomplished.
Big lad. Accomplished. So yeah, the book itself is organised into 24 broad sections, and it's just jam-packed full of shit.
Yeah.
Stuff like
Good
how
stuff.
to make haggis,
Whoa.
how to make rice pudding,
My God.
3 ways to make a bisque.
We need to get our hands on this book.
Yeah, I think it would be different
Wouldn't
to cook something out of it. They've got like bone marrow pies.
My God.
Mad.
A pie. I know bone marrow is often used to like help add flavour to sauces maybe, but to have a whole pie dedicated to bone marrow, like
Bone
how
marrow.
fucking concentrated is that?
So
Yeah,
flavorful.
you
isn't
like it? Yeah, it's good. Can I have a glass of water, please?
No water, only meat. Only bone marrow.
Bone
meat.
marrow meat served in the antlers of a buck. Being a vegetarian that time would have just been horrendous.
Well, a lot of meat was obviously not everyone had access to meat either.
So they're quite naturally eating a high vegetable diet.
Yeah, wheat, oats, that sort of shit. So yeah, his book's got loads of different recipes in it. But the thing we're interested in is his French toast recipe. You know, we've had all that other shit before it, which is essentially French toast, but it's not called French toast in those accounts. This is the first time. So his recipe actually leaves out the eggs and just opts for milk instead. And he actually suggests soaking the pre-toasted bread in a solution of wine, sugar, and orange juice.
Whoa, so that's kind of like a spiced version.
Yeah, he called it Big Bob's Boozy Toast.
Big Bob's Boozy Toast. Why no egg though? Surely that. I mean, I know like some recipes before had milk and others didn't. But I thought that the one thing that it would require would be the egg. Like that is the ground of the dish, isn't it? Really. And he's done it just with milk. He's frying milk drenched bread
and butter as well, I think.
Right. Okay.
Well. Obviously, you didn't call it Big Bob's Boozy Toast. You know, he should have, but he called it French toast instead. I know what you're thinking. It's all fucking very well and good, Andy, but this is an English cookbook, not a French cookbook. So why the fuck is it called French toast?
Yeah. Why?
Well, child, sit yourself down, have a mouthful of Listerine, and I'll tell you. The theory goes that the French part of French toast is not derived from the country, but it is instead a reference to the old Irish verb to French.
To French?
To French in Old Irish means to slice. Hence, French toast is sliced bread.
You're joking. You're joking. To French.
That's where they think it could have come from.
So the Irish term.
I wish I could tell you 100% that's the reason. I wish I could.
Please.
But I can't. Now, and as we'll see in a moment, there are actually a few different thoughts, more different thoughts and myths on how French toast got its name.
Right. Fucking hell.
This isn't exactly. This isn't just fucking tie it up, nice little bow on it.
You'd have thought this episode, right? French cuisine, just like you hone in on some guy in France who's just one day just been like, I got an idea for bread with milk and eggs, and then that was it.
And over the baguette.
And over the baguette. But you know, it's not that easy. Never is.
Nope, never is.
To be fair, we'd have been done 5 minutes in if that was the case.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Look at all this content you're getting. Yeah, it's like when people are like, oh yeah, I don't want to start Game of Thrones because it's like it's 8 seasons long. I'm like, well, when you start it, you'll be glad there's 8 seasons because it's so good. Mm-hmm. So shut up.
Apart from the last 3 seasons, they were a bit of shit, weren't they?
Yeah. I did just compare the quality of this podcast to the quality of Game of Thrones, and I think
it's about on par now.
Yeah, I think we're getting there. I think.
I think we're getting there. I think the production quality is the same. The writing is probably on the same level, especially for them last 3 seasons.
Yep. We've not yet got any awards in the same way that they have, but they will soon be coming. Yep.
They're coming.
There's also not as much nudity in this, so maybe we should work on that. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we could do that, but we'll definitely.
I've got a few ideas.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, that's great. As with anything food related, French toast didn't really take off and gain mass popularity until it landed on American shores.
I thought this was coming.
The Americans just have a way of glorifying calories that the rest of us could only dream of. Yep. They're just so good at it.
Like, they've got pancakes. They've got fluffy, buttery, doughy pancakes. They don't need anything else that's in that region of food. They don't need anything else. But French toast turns up and they just jump on it because that's just who they are.
Yeah, exactly. So French toast is thought to have gained a foothold on America after the Irish potato famine between 1845 and 1852. Irish settlers escaped to the United States and Canada, basically seeking a better quality of life.
Yep, turning up on the shores of Manhattan.
And with them, they brought their culture, their language, and of course, their culinary habits.
Wee.
In 1871, the phrase French toast first appeared in the Encyclopedia of American Food and Drink.
Oh my God.
Now, I couldn't actually find any information on what else this book had in it or what it said about French toast, but just by the name alone, I'm imagining some healthy sized tome with fucking bacon for bookmarks and burger grease on each page.
Yeah. It's got to, hasn't it? If it's a book about American cuisine, it's the book itself is deep fried, 100%.
Yeah. The book is proper crispy pages.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, when you're done reading it, you have to re-deep fry it as well. Just
Yeah.
crossing all the
Yeah.
pages.
Yeah. Why? Excuse me. Why is this book deep fat fried? What you mean it's deep fat fried? Of course it's deep fat fried. Protect the
How
pages.
else am I supposed to read it?
Yeah. How am I supposed to digest this? No. Digest means eat. But I'm talking about digesting the information. It's the same thing, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, this story, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? If you think about it, like Irish brought it with them, it grew in America from there. The rest is history. But what if I were to tell you there is another theory? A theory full of poor grammar and limited knowledge.
I don't do words too good.
Well, there is. And it involved one Mr. French, Joseph French. The year is 1724 and we are in Albany, New York. So this is before, the mass influx of Irish and stuff like that. This is early days of America. We've gone back in time. We're in Albany, New York.
Coffee.
Maybe they probably won't have accents.
Can I have a coffee?
No,
No, too
they
early.
won't have accents yet. Too early. Yeah, too early.
Fair enough. All right, reel it in.
Yeah. Fucking reel it in, man. Come on, reel that European in. Come on. Brexit means Brexit.
Yeah, it is true though. I mean, I was Joanna's really into old cinema, like traditional classic cinema, and a lot of the American films, the black and white films that we watch, you wouldn't know they're American because their accents are English. They've got really well-spoken Queen's English accents, and these are American people that perform in it. You know, it's only a fairly modern thing that the American accent has kind of changed into what we know today. So
yeah. I mean, fairly modern in terms of like, their history, because they're quite new. So anyway, the year is 1724. We're in Albany, New York. Mr. French is an innkeeper, looking to please his patrons and earn their repeat custom. He's in the kitchen, looking to conjure up something tasty, but cheap enough to make some dollar on. What does he do? He whips up a batch of golden fried bread that was soaked in eggs and milk. What does he call his wonderful creation? He names it after himself, of course.
of course he does. The ego creeping in.
But
French
because he's a humble innkeeper and Grammarly wasn't around back then, he makes a mistake in the naming. Instead of calling it French's toast, he mistakenly called it French toast, leaving out the apostrophe in the S.
Oh my god, that is so American.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
What a dickhead. I made an oopsie.
Yeah. Oh no.
And the rest is history, as they say. That's it.
So is that so? We're still kind of like umming and ahhing here about which one is the legit.
No. I for one think this is bullshit. I think this story is complete horseshit.
Yeah.
I think that Mr. French just fucking loved French toast so much that he wanted to be involved in history somehow.
Yeah.
Or he wanted to give his inn like a unique selling point. He wanted to be like, this is the place where
this was created.
Exactly.
Because we had this with the tikka masala episode when we were saying that the big claim that tikka masala was made in Glasgow, and we were saying it very well could be created there, but the other side of it, the restaurant could be using it as clout, as a way to get people through the door. So we don't know, do we really? It does sound very unlikely, doesn't it? Seen as though it's been eaten so much in Europe before this point as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Irish immigrant story is far more reasonable, I think. Especially given the timings and the mention in the encyclopedia. But to be honest, for me, the most convincing explanation of the name French toast is, right, when we call something French, it seems fancier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So by calling something French, it allows like innkeepers and chefs to add more money onto whatever they're selling.
Yeah, giving it a luxury element.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And it's like, obviously, loads of innkeepers and places all over Europe and now America have these three ingredients. That is an easy dish that they can whip up, call French toast, and fucking sell it. Just
yeah, because it's weird though, isn't it, that France as a country is kind of synonymous with just like luxury and fine things, like the cuisine and the culture. It's like it's just very romantic, the whole thing, isn't it? They've kind of got a monopoly on that romanticism.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, as Stephen Block, editor-in-chief of the Kitchen Project, explains,
we have an admiration for French cuisine, which we consider to be elaborate and gastronomic, and that's probably why this dish was named that way. It's just marketing. The name sounds good, and the French adjective gives it a high-quality connotation. There's no chance that lost bread could have worked. And since the dish was successful and the recipe was easy, the name spread. There we have it. Yeah.
That sounds like the most likely origin for me.
Yeah,
You know?
it's like a continental breakfast. It sounds very posh and very luxurious, but it's
Exactly.
in reality, it's just quite a basic spread, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people wanted to make stale bread dipped in eggs and milk sound fancy and still turn a profit.
Yeah.
You know,
What better way to do it?
Yeah, exactly.
Very
So that's it.
interesting.
That's the history and the origins of French toast.
Whoa.
You know, a dish seemingly ancient in origin, which hasn't evolved in its inception. You know, it's since its inception, a simple yet delicious dish made of 3 core ingredients that almost every culture around the world would consider household staples.
Yeah.
You know, French toast, the alligator of the food world.
Yeah. I feel like I learned a lot there.
Yeah, there's a lot of different paths that we went down.
Because the thing is, when we started this podcast, we didn't really know if... I mean, we obviously had an inkling, otherwise we wouldn't have given it a go, but we didn't know for sure whether there'd be interesting stories behind, almost every dish. And so far, every single one we've done has had an interesting story behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always something. There's always some interesting aspect of it. And that tends to be what I find when doing the research. I'll start off and I'll be like, wow, there's quite a lot here. But then you drill into it a bit more and it's like, oh, okay, this is connected to this is connected to that, this happened because of this. In the same year, this was going on. Could that have affected it in any way?
It's something as simple as French toast as well. It's just like
going all the way back to Roman times. I never would have thought that people were eating French toast or something similar to French toast during the time. But if you think,
because the other week you did peanut butter and you were like, oh yeah, peanut butter will be like,
exactly.
And it's like we ended up going so far back into history, the peanut butter.
Yeah. It's like we've got, like, obviously there's so many dishes out there, but not a lot is like a modern,
a fully modern creation. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's like even things that seem modern have got influences that are from so far back. Well, that's the thing, because like as humans spread themselves across the world, we kind of discover or attempt to discover everything that there is to be able to eat and use to our benefit. And we might not have got to that stage yet, but we must be really close. And then from that point onwards, it just becomes like an exercise of swapping and changing and using different quantities, mixing things differently. And all these world cuisines and different dishes just are born from that process of experimentation with what Earth has got to offer us.
Oh, very nice.
It's beautiful, really. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, that was really cool. We've got loads more episodes coming. They're coming thick and fast. Me and Andy are really enjoying doing the research and editing these podcasts. We hope you guys are enjoying them too.
Absolutely.
And that's it, really. I've got nothing else to say, to be honest, except for thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.
See ya. Bitches.
Bitches.